Okay, today's daf is Kuf Aleph. We're up to Kuf Amid Beis. Kuf Amid Beis. And where are we up to? We're up to the brackets. Simon Zeira, Rava, Meshashia, Chanina, Tuvia, Yanai, Yapa, Yochanan, Rechem, Yeshua, and Mekatzer. So they're all going to dash in the same pasuk. Amrav Zeira Amarav. My dichsiv kol yimei ani royim. All the days of an ani are royim. Elu bali talmud. These are the bali talmud. Right? It's hard for them to learn the kashas, the sugyas, delving into it, so it's difficult. The Toivlev Mishnah Tamid, who are the people who are happy all the times? Eli Bali Mishnah. The Mishnah is clear, it's concise. You just learn it, not too difficult, because you don't learn it well, and therefore things are good. Rabbi says the opposite. Rabbi Me'ibcha. Rabbi says the opposite. The people who go ahead and delve into Torah, there's a certain simcha, there's a certain happiness because they're able to come to conclusions and able to pass again. Mashen came Mishnah, you can't bash them from Mishnah. Dom Rav Meshashim Meshmei the Rava. My dichsiv Masia Avonim Yeotzev Mehem. You're going to go ahead. The one who carries Avonim, they'll be to see it from them. Elu Bali Mishnah. Uboikea Eitzim Yisachim Bam. But the one who goes ahead and hacks holes, who cracks wood, will be warned by them. Elu Bali Talmud. So you see that Rashi, Rava Ame Ibcha, the Bali Talmud, then in Miyasa, they have enough from their hard work. Sheyedu Lahoyres Isaveheta, they're able to pass in Shilas. Abu Bali Mishnah, Shaina, they learn, but they ain't Marin Allah Mishnah. You can't pass from a Mishnah. So that's a distinct difference between the two. Yeah. And says the Gemara Vaika. Rav Chanino Amar again. So these are the simon of all the different Amoraim who said pshat in this pasuk. Rav Chanino Amar, Kol Yimei Royim Zemi Sheyesh LaIsha Ra. The guy is a bad wife. Guy is a bad wife. All his days are bad. V'toiv leiv mishta tamid zeh sheyesh LaIsha Toiva. You have a good wife, then Baruch Hashem, everything's good. Rabbi Yana Yomer, Kol Yimei Royim zeh istanis. A person who's an istanis is never happy. He's always complaining about something. So nothing works for them. However, a guy is more, he could eat everything. He could eat liver, he could eat eggs, nothing, tuna, nothing stops him. Then very good. It says Avram Yivayim is so happy all the time. Right? That's why Avram Yivayim sits like that, because he's eating. That's why you only see the top of him. Like you talk about it, he's eating. You see this he's eating. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan Kol Yimei Ani Rayim. These are Rahmane. In other words, if you're so caring about people, you'll always be in pain because it's never good for everybody. So if you're Bal Rahmanis, you have tremendous pain. That's a person who is a cruel. So we're not speaking about Midas, guys. We're speaking about this Mitzias in this world. If you're a person who is very sensitive and caring about other people, then the life is difficult because you'll always go ahead and be in pain. Mashenkein, if you don't care about other people, you're so narcissistic, you're an achzor, you're cruel, then I guess that's toiv leiv. You'll be happy. Not ultimately you won't be happy, but it's in this world. Rashi brings two pshatim, fellas. The first one is that what they worry all the time. The second person is they get angry all the time. The second one is what is he gets angry all the time. That's a person he doesn't worry so much, or he doesn't get angry a lot. A person gets angry, he's always unhappy, there's always something. A person who's broad-minded, a person who's caring, then I can say every day is a bit. Shabbos and Yantiv, common things are good. You're not limited, guys. You have Shabbos and Yantiv. Things are good on Shabbos and Yantiv, right? So why do you say all the days are bad? All the days mashma, everything's bad. But it's not true. Not everything's bad. And that the Gemara says, Kiddush Shmuel, Domesh Shmuel, Shini Veset, Chilas Kolam Hayayin. The changing of a Veset is the beginning of sickness. In other words, you usually eat certain things. Like during the week, let's say you're eating your nani. So your diet is very, very limited. Mashen comes Shabbos and Yantif, you can be eating much, much better food. Shini Veset, the change in your diet, in this case, your cycle, and your diet is going to be, not advantageous for you. So therefore, it's all the days. All days are bad. Even Shabbos and Yantiv is bad. Tanarabanan. Hakari pasuk shel shir hashirim. A person who reads a pasuk of shir hashirim, va'oisan esok himin zemer, and he makes it like a zemer. He makes it like a song. V'hakari pasuk bebeis mishtoi. So you read a pasuk in the bars. Belois manoi. Maybe rola oilam. Why? Mifnei she'haTorah chaygeres sak. Okay, we'll see in a second. Let's see Rashi. What's going on over here? And then we'll see exactly what the Torah comes. Says Rashi. Hachi garsinan. HaKoresh shir shirim va'oisei oisei kimin zemer. You make it shir shirim like a song. After all, we call shir shirim the song of songs, right? So you make it like a song. Shekore b'negina acheres. You don't read it with the nekuda, with the trup. She'enei naked ba. You don't read it with the trup that it's cantillated with. Va'oisei sa kimin shir. You make it like a song. Who, even though it's from the Song of Songs, the Ikra Shir Asalasaisai. And even the main thing is the song, it's us to do it. Kamin Shir, Ella Bikriyasai, only when you read it. Okay, so you're not supposed to do it. Or Akari Pasik Hamishtois Blaze Manoi. You're reading from a Pasik in the base Mishtois Blaze Manoi. In Mesiv Al Yenoi, it seems they would eat and then they would drink. So they would drink, so the Mesiv Al Yenoi. He makes schik with divrei Torah. The korib psukim b'kol ram, and he calls out in a loud voice, l'sakik b'hem b'nei hamishter, that the people should be happy. That is not good. So people are happy. It's a party. Yes, and you're calling out. Avlam omrei bizmanoi al hamishter. If you say bizmanoi by a mishter, kigoyin shehu yamtiv, v'noitel kais b'yadoi, v'omer alav divrei haggadah. You say, right, upsukim me'inyanim shal yaim, maybe tov lo'ilam, then you bring good to the world. Okay, we'll see Be'ez Hashem a little halach in a second. Continues the back. So now, back in the Gemara. So you're saying that to make Shir Shirim a song without using the kudos, without using the trup, that you shouldn't do, and making psukim in the wrong time, in the wrong place, to be mesachek behem is not good. You're going to lose your olam haba. And this is brought down la'alocha, guys. This is brought down la'alocha, as we'll see in a second. So says the Gemara. Now, what happens? Comes the Torah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, says, and the Torah Chogeres Sak, V'oimedes L'vei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'oimeres L'fanav, Rebbeinu Shloim, Asiuni Bonecha Kikiner. Your sons have made me like a harp. Sheminagnim boy leitzim. That leitzim, scoffers, they're singing me jokingly. Amallah biti. B'shosh oichlin b'shoisin b'mayis asku. When they're eating and drinking, what are they oisik in? Amar lefanav Rebbeinu Shloim. In Balei Mikra hein yasku b'Torah u'b'neviim u'b'ksuvim. In Balei Mishnah hein yasku b'Mishnah b'Hilchos v'Agados. In Balei Talmud hein yasku b'Hilchos Pesach b'Pesach yoni di'ayma b'Hilchos Atzeres b'Atzeres b'Hilchos Chag b'Chag. So hey, Reb Shimon ben Elazar, Mishum ben Yechananya, Kol Akari Pasik Bizmani, maybe Toiv Lo'ilam. Shnemar v'Dava B'Itay Matoiv. So in other words, comes the Kadosh Baruch Hu and says to the Torah, what else should they be oisik with? That you're telling you have a taina, what should be oisik with? So the Torah Kariyachal says like Kadosh Baruch Hu, let them be busy depending on their ability. If they're Bali Mikra, Bali Mishnah, Torah Shabbat Peh, Gemara. But that's what they should be busy with, not going ahead and singing and. So now this is from the not this. Do you see a number 32 there, guys? You see a number 32. Okay, this is from the back of the Mishnah Brura of the Dirshu Mishnah Brura. So what's the gather about this bringing psukim in? That it seems to be a very serious matter. Achein l'shir psukim derech shvach v'hoidia, to go ahead and sing psukim by the way of praise and thanks to Hashem. Kasev Hashem and Amishcha, and he brings the source shemuta. So if you're singing the songs for praise for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to thank Hashem, then it'd be permitted. We only see the Torah don sackcloth. Only when it's made late sonis, guys. When you go ahead, as it was describing, the mishta in a bar, and then as Rashi said, they're making fun of using the psukim to make fun. That's when it's not permitted. That's what we're talking about. The maril that brings down to asrit is only speaking where it's derech schoik v'chesil. To go ahead and sing songs. In order to be ma'orer and mechasik shir, guys, we have many songs that are people sing psukim. You said Shlomo Kalbach wrote, it's not in the Torah proper, but Ksuvim. He sang songs. So l'chayra, these songs are for the purpose of what? For the purpose of the Misayra to arouse, l'schazik, to be Yer Shemayim. Das Hagoyin Rev Yaakov Yishai Kanievsky. That was the stipler. Shemuta. V'hevi l'zerayim migamarim b'fureshes. Ukein zeh das Hagoyin Rev Chaim Kanievsky. V'chein das Hagoyin Rev Nachum Karlitz. Right? V'hoysiv shekesh ein kavanasai el l'simcha. If the kavas is only for simcha and asa, af l'tzaris simchas chasam l'kala. Then if it's only for that. But it should v'chein asa af im mishna ma'at mimilas hapsukim. If you mishana ma'at the words. Okay, ein zeh hevi b'sefer shari nechama b'shem hagoyin Rev Shlomo Vazna l'lamid schus al oisam shemevian zamer. He brings a singer l'chasanus to a chasana sheshor shirim milamay psukim. This is what's the heter to bring a singer to a chasana, fellas. What's the heter? Sheshachavona bezeh he derech shvach v'haydolish of Yisbarach harizem muta. Right. Achein, however, be aware the shalos and shuvas igros Moshe Yeridei chelik beis simin kuf mem beis kasav shav shalom ma'isa anu royim sheroiva oilam ve'af chasidim anshe ma'isa regilim b'smachais v'chedoymer l'shoyre psukim tzorchian. Says Moshe, ma tam shemekilim limrois. What's the reason that makilim limrois shemafurish b'gemara? Listen, it says it's asa. V'af shmiyas ashirim mipiacherim asarim. Even hearing it from other people, that's the going of Nissen Karlitz sheklula b'sizeh. B'shalos and Chuvas igros Moshe sham kosav shalachayra. So Moshe, I'll finish off the Chuva, guys. I didn't. From my side, I didn't bring the Chuva down at all. But let me finish off. Moshe doesn't understand why it should be muta. So again, chelik beis Yerideya kuf mem beis says Moshe, right? Al kaponim lamashlim akilim bezimmer shel adam mamish ein lahachmir. That we're makel by a person, we should be shilas by tape recorders. Of labali nefesh min aroy lahachmir. Laslis tape recorder mit brachos psukim. You shouldn't put it on a tape. Okay, again, it seems to be a not so pashut. Something you take for granted. Rav Moshe doesn't understand. Again, Rav Moshe says the Maisa people are makel. He said you should put it on a tape, stick him on a tape to play back. Or he said records. He put down records. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't. But again, l'chalapachis, we're very, very makel in this. Very, very makel in this. Sometimes you come across Gemaras that, you just zoom through them. I spent a little time in this, and I was surprised to find that it's not zelo pashut. Zelo pashut. It wasn't pashut. Okay. Says the Gemara Vaita. V'haloichish ala makkah. So the Mishnah said a person who's loichish on a makkah then does not have a chelik to olam haba. Now it seems to be that they had incantations that worked. It seems to be that they had incantations that worked. Because or else if it's just blowing wind, what's going on over here? So Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, someone is not okay. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, uberoikek ba. It's speaking not when you said the incantation, but in addition, you first expectorated saliva. You spit. You spit beforehand, then, right? Then the fishem maskim shem shemayim al rakika, because you don't go ahead and say shem shemayim al rakika on spitting. So look at Rashi, fellas. Uberoikek on the right side. Shekain derech malachshim l'rakek koydem alachash. It was the derech of the people who would incantate to spit before they would say their lachash. For asa lahasker pasik al lachisha, and it's asa to mention a pasik on the spit. V'yesh lachshim shedarken l'rakek achreihem, that they would only spit after they said the lachash. V'oymay son b'lashon laz, and they wouldn't say in lashon kodesh, they wouldn't say a pasik, they would say in an English or whatever the language was. Umaskir lehem shem b'lashon laz, and they would say the name of Hashem, not the name of Hashem, but in God, whatever language. For Amalei Rebbe de Mutta, The ain iser ela loichesh achar rakika. It's only also when the rakika comes first. The nira, because it appears shemaska Hashem ala rakika, that you go and get it mentioning the name on the act of on the spit itself. V'oid loy nesar ela b'lashon hakodesh ala blazloi. Okay, so Rashi tells us that what Rashi tells us that this lachash, that it's dafkawad if you go ahead and spit. Okay, and itmar alokika itmar Rav Amar afilu neged saras. Even if you mention a pasuk neged saras, right? That just like Hashem cures you from saras. And Rav Chanina Amar afilu vayikra el Moshe, just a pasuk of divrei Torah, you should be cured in the ischus of Torah. Also, you shouldn't do. So. Do you see something in front of you? You see something? Okay. This is Yeridea, guys. It's Simon Kuf Ayin Tes. Kuf Ayin Tes in Yeridea. Okay? And he brings down Haloichesh ala Makkah, someone who's loichesh on a Makkah, Oy al choila, v'roikeik, and he first spits, v'achach koyre posik min ha-Torah, ein lo chelik lo'olam haba. Brought down halacha. V'im ein roikeik, and if he doesn't, isur miya'ika. As we see from our Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan said dafka b'roikeik. But if he says a lachash without spitting, then it's asa, but yisla v'chelik lo'olam haba. V'im yesh b'y sakonis nefashis hakol muta. If it's sakonis nefashis, everything's muta. V'yesh Shaimim says the Ramah, the chol zeh einu asa ela k'shekoyra pasik b'lashon kodesh. Al b'lashon laz loy. Rashi b'shem Rabbi. That's the Rashi we just saw, fellas, right? Umiu b'roikeik toili zahar b'chol inyan. B'prat im maskirin Hashem shein l'chelik olam haba. In other words, if you're going to spit even afterwards, you're going to say lashon kodesh, be careful. I found this Taz fascinating, guys. Listen to this Taz. Listen to what they used to do. For roikeik v'akach kaira hatam the kivin the mask shem shemayim al rakika have a bizoyin chas v'shalom. Like Rashi said, v'alkein ein lahakshos mimashe noigin, that they were noig at the time b'rakika koidim v'anachnu koirim disham hakol yoidim sherakika hayil bizoyin hagalulim. Guys, v'anachnu koirim b'shtachim v'dim lefimelech machem lach b'lesh baruch hu. They would spit beforehand. You hear this? They would spit before, and they would say, Amanachnu. So says the Taz, since it's clear when you go ahead and spit and say that pasuk afterwards, it's Vakadosh Baruch Hu, that Kol Yoidim Sharakika Hila Bezoyin Hagilulim, to Mivasa the idols, Shalavdei of Gadizara, the Hikoivit Shemayim, Shemaske Achakach Kein Nerali, says the, you hear guys that had a minig, they would say, Vanachnu Karim, they would spit, and then they say, "Vanachnu korim v'heimeshtachvim," right level, right? They would say that. So geschmack is anything, but it seems to like where that minig went. But again, there was a minig at the time. The Taz brought it down in the 17th century that they used to do that. So a little bit, I thought that was a little fascinating. So a little bit about psukim and saying psukim, where it's mutter, where it's not mutter, makel in it.
Hasidim still do it. Shehem mispalm lehevel arik, mispalm el gelyochia.
But they do it. But they do it afterwards. This they did before.
Shehem mispalm lehevel arik, and the gets a chashpayas, and then they say vanach the karim.
Kenny, what's a shpayas? Very good. Okay, now you know it's makar for it, right? Okay, says the Gemara Vaita, Tana Rabbanon, Sachin umimashmashin b'bnei me'ayim b'Shabbos. You could take oil and manipulate your stomach, your kishkes on Shabbos. Now, what they used to do is they would manipulate first and then put the oil on. That seemed to be a cure for stomach problems, or but you're not, refuah is not permitted on Shabbos. So therefore you do a shinoi. What was the shinoi? First you put the oil on, and then you mamashmish. Then you go ahead and work it in. V'loichashin l'chishas nechashim v'akravim b'Shabbos. You could be malachesh regarding snakes and scorpions on Shabbos, that they shouldn't go ahead and hurt you. right? They shouldn't hurt you, and it's not considered. So what would the problem be, guys? Again, lachash worked. It doesn't need to be an isser lachash. The isser is that that the lachash should be like Keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But over here, Rashi tells us, fellas, if you're melachesh, that they shouldn't harm you, there's no problem of tzeda, of capturing. One of the obvious malachas is capturing, trapping. So there's not a problem. So the first one, working in the oil, is not a problem of refuah, which is a gzeris d'rabbanan shikas samamonim. And the second one is tzeda. The second one is tzeda. Baruch, we don't have girls in share. I'm sorry. Anyway, this tzeda, we don't have what? We don't have capturing. Umavirin kli al gabi ayin b'Shabbos, and you can go ahead and put some type of cold kli on your eye. Let's say, here's Dr. Press. Umavirin cold kli on Shabbos. You have some eye problem. You would go ahead and you could use a kli. Rashi says, top Rashi, top left, kli ala ayin. Shekain derech litin kli matchis. You put a metal kli ala ayin k'dei lekarer ayin, to cool off the eye. If the eye is a problem, you would use that. Inami, or else kigain she'oisa la'adam shechosh be'einav, a person who had an eye ache, makipin einoi b'tabas. They would go ahead and put some type of ring around his eye. That's what they used to do in the old days. Okay, so now you will be able to do this. Says the Gemara, that's dafka kli that's not muktzah, but kli she'ena nitel asar. It's kli that's muktzah, you will not be able to do it. Being shoylim b'davar sheidim b'Shabbos, you can't ask for davar sheidim b'Shabbos. Now, why in the world would you want to go ahead and speak to a shade? To stay away from the sheidim. Now, why would you ask from a shade on period? Guys, look at Rashi. This is before Rav Meir Balanes, I guess, guys, where you would go and say, Meir Aneni, where you wanted to find some lost object. So it says Rashi, b'davar sheidim, shekein oisim, 4 lines down, kisha oivdim shum davar, when they would lose something, shoylim b'maisa sheidim, they would ask the shade, v'hei magidim lehem, they would tell them where it is. V'yasal asis b'Shabbos mishum b'maitzich havetzecha. Pasuk in Yeshaya, you shouldn't be busy with maitzich havetzecha on Shabbos, so you can't do it on Shabbos, right? So Rabbi Yosef af b'chol asa lishol b'sheidim can farish to come on b'shum sakana. Now sakana is more chomer than halacha. There's no heta for sakana. Here's the sakana of asking for help for sheidim. V'af Rabbi Yosef le'amar elim mishum sakana ki had Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef the ivla be'arza. He was swallowed up by a cedar tree. This abila nisa, and this happened. Upaka arza upalte. The cedar tree split open and spit him out. So therefore, don't fool around. Again, fascinating stuff. Sheidim, Z-man, all kinds of things. Tan Rabbanan. Sachin u'mimash b'shim b'bnei ma'ayin. You can go ahead and again put oil on your stomach and work it in. Again, because you're going in the wrong order. U'bevach le'yasa k'derech shu oisa b'choil, which is first going ahead and manipulating the stomach, massaging it and then putting it in. Hechi avid, Rav Chama Rachina Amar Sach, first put on the oil, v'achkach memashmesh, Rabbi Yochanan Amar Sach u'memashmeshim b'ba'achas. Do it at the same time. Tan Rabbanan. Sharei shemen, v'sharei beitzim, mutarim lishol behem. Okay, you need help here, guys. Rashi. Sharei shemen, yesh ma'isa shedim, sheshoylim al yedei shemen. V'korilu sharei shemen, master of shemen. V'hainu sharei bohen. V'yesh shoylim b'shoferish al beitza. There were those who would ask from an eggshell. V'korilu sharei beitzim. So, okay, this is Gemara. Elam ifnei what's the reason? You could ask for them. Elam ifnei chazvin, right? They're liars. It's. You should stay away from asking for him because they're not reliable sheidim. They're not reliable. When you do lichush, when you do this incantation, al shemen shebekli, do it on the kli but not on your hands. Lefikach sachin mishemen shebiyad, ve'ein sachin b'shemen shebekli. Because the kli, you may have some type of demon in there as a result of the incantation. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Mata ikloi lahu ashpiza, came to a place. Aisila mishcha b'mana. They bought him oil in a kli, shaf, and he went ahead and he He went ahead and smeared it on himself. And nafkoleit simche ba'ape, and smachim, boils grew in his face. Nafik l'shuk, he went into the street, and Chazizia, this woman saw him. Amra, she said, Zika the Hamas. Zika the Hamas, the spirit of Hamas, is the name of a demon, Koy Chazinan. I see over here. Avla Milsa, she did a spell, B'itzi, and he got better. Why? Because he was using the shemen that was in the Kli. So you see that what? The shemen in the Kli carries with it some type of problem. Amli Rav Abba Rava, Bamari, Ksiv, Kol HaMachla shesamti b'Mitzrayim, V'yasam Alecha. All machla that I placed in Mitzrayim, I will not place on you. Ki ani Hashem reifecha, I am Hashem who cured you. Says the Gemara, V'chimi achesh some refu lama. Guys, it seems to be counterintuitive. You're telling me you're not going to get sick because I'm a doctor. What does that mean? What does it mean? You know, if you're not sick, you don't need a doctor, right? Anything in Mitzrayim that I'm going to give, but says the Gemara, Amalei, here's what he told him. Amalei, Rabbi Bamari told Rav Abba, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Mikroz ze me'atzmai nidrish, Nemar, Vayoma im shemaya tishma l'kol Hashem l'kecha, if you listen to the voice of Hashem, in tishma lo then you will not be sick. V'm lo tishma asim. But what? If you do not listen, you will get sick. Afal pikein, even if you get sick, I'm going to make you better, Kini Hashem reifecha. So you have avtach, you get better. So Amar Abba Rav Chana, Kishachol Rabbi Eliezer. We had on Daf Samech Ches, fellas. We had on Daf Samech Ches, we had the whole Maisa with Rabbi Eliezer Petira. Rabbi Eliezer was Shamuti. Rabbi Eliezer, again, for the Maisa of Bab Mitzia at the end of the Seichus HaPoilim, with the Tanarach Noi, he went against everybody. Hashem agreed with him. Achei Rav Lahata is famous Gemara, from the most famous Gemaras in Shas. And so this is another example we had on Samech Ches, and here's another. Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol was sick. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkinis, one of the greatest Talmidim of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, quoted throughout Shas. And here's the Maisa. Kishachol Rabbi Eliezer nichnasu Talmidav levakrei. Talmidim came in to go ahead and see him. Amalem chema azu yesh ba'olam. He said there's tremendous anger in the world. There's tremendous anger in the world because he's sick. He's sick. Rashi, Chema azu yesh ba'olam al atzmai chaya oimer. He was saying on himself, Shekoyes lov hamakayim v'hich b'chol yav. The Kadosh Baruch was angry at him, and he's made him very sick. Says the Gemara, his chilu hein boichin. The Talmidim began crying. Rabbi Akiva mesachik. It's amazing. Rabbi Akiva is always going in the other direction. The Gemara at the end of Makis, right? They go ahead and they see the base kutchi kadashim, the foxes and everything. They're crying and he's laughing. It's always the opposite. Guys, Rabbi Akiva is the ultimate optimist. Throughout Shas, you see every single Gemara. He's the ultimate optimist. He always sees good. If a rock can penetrate this thing, it can penetrate my head. The straw, we don't have anything. We have less than them. The people by the mice in the cave where they were in the barn and they were nothing, and the person came, Elio came, there was a baby born, because it's amazing. We have nothing, we have straw, he has less than us. And us always looking for the positive. Gemara and the brachis, right? Everything that Kodesh Baruch Hu does in the world is good. The ultimate optimist.
The fact that he lost 24,000 Talmidim, right? He wasn't able to bounce back.
I was just about to expand upon that.
Okay. Sorry.
After he lost 24,000 Talmidim, he could have been despondent. He could have gone ahead and done nothing. What did he do? He found five people, and from that was Yitzhak Torah B'Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Basically, the Torah came out of them, out of those. So you see that he was the ultimate optimist. Okay. Amar loy, lama atam mesachek, why are you laughing? Amar lehen mechim fnei ma atam barchim, why are you crying? Amar loy, efshe sefer Torah, shari b'tzar, sefer Torah, Elazar ben Hurkinis, shari b'tzar, v'lei nivchai shen cry. Amar lehem lekachani mesachek, kol zman shani roya Rebbe, she'ein yenei machmitz. The whole time I saw Rebbe, Roya Rebbe, ein yenei machmitz. His wine never got sour, v'ein pishtoinei loikis, pishton never got gestrofen, v'ein shmonoi mabish, and his shemen didn't spoil, v'ein dovshlim nabish, and his honey didn't spoil. Amati shemachas v'shalom kibo Rebbe Erlamai. I saw maybe things are so good for him in his nechasim, maybe he got his reward in this world. V'yachroshani Roya Rebbe k'vitzar, and he's sameach. Now I see Rebbe and Tsar, I'm very happy. Amalei Akiva, klum chasarti min ha-Torah kula. Did I go ahead and miss anything? Is there anything I didn't do? So Amalei l'marateinu Rabbeinu ki adam ein tzadik ba'aretz asher yasatay v'lechta. You went ahead and taught us that what is not possible. So you had to be guilty of something. I was thinking, wasn't he guilty of not going after the rabbim? I mean, but obviously he was thinking that, wasn't he the chayra? I mean, I don't know. So now it's not Talmidim, these are contemporaries. So Reb Tarfin, Reb Yeshua, Reb Elazar, and Reb Zazayah, Reb Akiva. So Reb Akiva now is showing, is considered as a Zaken, he's not considered a Talmud, right? Nena Reb Tarfin, you better, you, Eliezer ben Urkenis, are better to Yisrael than a Tipa Shel Geshamim. Shetipa Shel Geshamim, Oilam Hazev, Reb Oilam Hazev, Oilam Haba. You bring us to both. So, therefore you're better. Nena Reb Yeshua, Amar, Toivat El Yisrael, Yosa, Migal Golchama, you're better than the sun. Shagal Golchama, Oilam Hazev, Rebbe Oilam Hazev, Oilam Haba. Nena Reb Elazar ben Azariah, Amar, Toivat El Yisrael, Yosa, Me Aveim, Shaveim, Oilam Hazev, Rebbe Oilam Hazev, Oilam Haba. Then Rabbi Kiva Amar Chaviv Yisurim. This is so Chaviv again. He was the one guy in class who just was not on the same page as everybody else. So said Rabbi Kiva Chaviv Yisurim. Is Amar Lahem Simchuni ve'eshmad the Rabbi Akiva. Sit me up ve'eshmad the words of Rabbi Akiva. Talmidei Shama Chaviv Yisurim. Amar Akiva Zumi Nayin Lecha. How do you know that what? That Chavivim, that Yisurim are so good. How do you know they're so good? So Amar, Mikra Ani Darsh, I dash him the following pasuk. Now we know, guys, just a little background, we're going to get to this Gemara soon, that Chizkiyahu, the Gemara in Brachas, it's funny, everything in Nach comes from the Gemara, right? Because you're a yeshiva guy, you learn like this. So the Gemara told us that he was sick, he was dying. Why was he dying? Because he saw Baruch HaKodesh, he's going to have a son, Menashe. So he didn't want to get married. Showed up Yeshaya, the Navi, and said, "But are you getting involved in Hashem's secret? You have a tziva of Peru." So he goes, "But I'll tell you what. I'll go ahead. I'll give you my daughter. And showing Rabbi Yeshaya Hanavi, his daughter married Chizkiyahu. They had a son Menashe. Menashe ultimately killed his grandfather. He killed Yeshaya. He became king at 12. He ruled for 55 years, from the worst times in Klal Yisrael. He put a slem in the Heichel. He's listed as a person who has no chelik in Olam Haba. There's a day that he did tshuva. This is an example of his tshuva. Okay? So what happened? So here's the story of him. Story of Menashe. This is how Rabbi Akiva knows that Yisurim are a great thing. He said, how do you know this? How do you know such a great thing? So Rabbi Akiva told him, Makrani Darish. It says, Ben Shtei Mesrei Shana Menashe ben Molchoi. He became a king at 12. And the Chamishim v'Chamishana Malach Yerushalayim was 55 years he was in Yerushalayim. Vayasu Rameni Hashem, and he didn't do the good things. Uksiv Amid Beis, it says, Gam Eile Mishlei Shloimei Asher Hetiku Anshe Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda. This is Mishlei, guys. The Mishlei of, we saw that in Daf Yadal in Baba Basra that Chizkiyahu wrote Mishlei. So this is the Mishlei. He wrote down Mishlei. So what do you see? That Chizkiyahu, Melech Yehuda, wrote Mishlei. What do we know about Chizkiyahu, fellas? That he put a sword in front of the yeshiva, and anyone said he doesn't learn is going to be Nitka B'zeh. Correct? In other words, and they checked, and from done by Sheva, everyone was an expert. In other words, not only did Chizkiyahu teach everyone Torah, he even taught Menashe Torah, for sure. It says, would he teach Torah to the whole world? Well, Menashe b'nai lo limi Torah, and when he wanted to teach Menashe, so what happened? Ela mikol torach boy, mikol amashu amar boy, all the tircha that he went to teach him the right thing, all the amelis he put into him, lo Allahu lemutav el yisurim. Menashe, his father worked like a dog. He taught him everything. He was matriach. Guys, we're going to see Menashe comes to Rav Ashi in a dream and tells him a halacha. And Rav Ashi says to him, how you talking? How can you rush him Marusha? So he goes, you don't know what a type of Avodah Zarah is. If you, Rav Ashi, been alive in my time, you would have jumped on the cloak of the Avodah Zarah. But what people don't focus on is, Rav Avi is going to love this. If you knew for sure your son is a Rosh and Marusha, would you spend a second with him? Guaranteed. What's statement from the Gemara, guys? No. Chizkiyahu still put koiches in. What's Lashon Gemara, guys? Toireach ba, v'amal ba. Mamish put blood, sweat, and tears. Mamish put everything into it. It didn't help. It didn't help. But that's irrelevant. You got to do what you got to do. He did Puru, he had him, and then he had to do what you do al Schinuch to teach him Torah. A father has to teach his son Torah. That's part of what, of Bahadi Kishur Rahman Ulama. What are you getting involved in all of this? You don't go ahead and have a son and say don't teach him. You have a son, you teach him. You know what he's going to be, Machnishtais. That's not your cheshbon. And as we're going to see at the end of his life, he brought him back. It's amazing. Amazing. It's such a musa, gewaldig musa. Anyway, the only thing that brought Menashe back was Yisurim. What happened? It says, didn't listen. The king of Asher came. They captured Menashe, they put him in some type of chains. They brought him to Bavel. So now the king Menashe, the king is in Bavel. Menashe was in bad shape. What did he do? Right? He went ahead and he mamish love, he mamish davens to Hashem, he entreats Hashem, he doesn't stop. And he's heard. His tchina, his bakash is heard. And he comes back. They bring him back. And Menashe knew that what? Hashem will him. Now, what brought him back? Was it all the Torah his father taught him? No. Was all the Hadrach his father gave him? No. What brought him back? Is Yisurim. Therefore, said Rabbi Akiva to Rabbi Eliezer, that's how I know that Chavivim Yisurim. That's how I know Yisurim Machavim. Halamarto Shechavivim Yisurim, you see from here that what? What do they say? There's no atheist in the foxhole. When things get tough, when you have no control, I'll tell you this. Tan Rabbanan. Shleisha bo'u ba'alila. 3 people came with alila. Alila usually means with an excuse. Like a alila over here means with little chachma. They came with a little tiny HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Eluhain, here are 3. Kayin, Esav, Menashe. Kayin, Esav, Menashe, they all come with an alila to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens. Kayin dechsiv, after HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Kayin he's going to be, you're going to be novenad ba'aretz, and you're not going to be able to stay in one place and shine. He says, God lavoni minso. Is my avera too much to carry? Is my too much to go ahead and forgive? Amalafon of Rabbi Shalom. Klum God lavoni mishishim riboy shasidim lachdoi lefanecha. My avera is no worse than the 600,000 people in the future who will go ahead and be chayta. Ve'ata salech lehem, and you're going to forgive them. It's a riot. He's going ahead and being a riot from an event that didn't take place yet. But he goes, but I know you. I know you, Rabbi Shalom. I know the way you are. And I know you're going to forgive them. So therefore, couldn't you? So there, Kodesh Baruch Hu forgave him. I mean, he let him live for 7 generations. Esav dechsiv, habracha achas hilacha avi. After Yaakov steals the bracha, Esav says, you only have 1 bracha left? You have more brachas. And he got a bracha. Menashe b'tchila kari l'kus harbe. Menashe, he went ahead and he davened to many avodah zaros. Ul b'seif kari l'kov avaisav. Guys, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't answer Menashe, what can he taina? You're no different than them. Just like they didn't listen to me, you don't listen to me. That's the Alila over here, guys. You're the Alila of Menashe. Hashem, you have to listen to me, because if you don't, you're no different than them. That's the Alila. Okay, the next person who didn't have a chelik in Olam Haba is the person who goes ahead and says the Shem Hashem according to its letters. Someone who says the name of Hashem according to it. Now, we said different pshatim, guys. Different machlokes in the Mishnayim. Does it mean the 42 letters of the name of Hashem that we don't have? Does it mean Yud Kei Vav Kei, pronouncing Yud Kei Vav Kei as it's written? Tana, Ubagvulim. It's only outside the Beis HaMikdash. In the Beis HaMikdash, they would be able to say Yud Kei Vav Kei. Ubelashon Aga, and also it's dafka in a tongue that's not Lashon Kodesh. Ubelashon Aga and dafka in a tongue that's not Lashon Kodesh. So let's say a person would go ahead outside the Beis HaMikdash, he would say in Lashon Kodesh also be. In other words, dafka outside with a foreign language, but inside the Beis HaMikdash even in a foreign language, Outside, even Lashon Kodesh, guys. Those are the two things. You would lose your Ilam Haba in those two things. Shloisha Malachim v'arba Hedyotis. We had 3 kings and 4 Hedyotis that had no chelik in the next world. Okay, the first of the kings written is Yeravam ben Nevat. Okay, what's the background, guys? How far back should I go? Okay, David had a friend, Yonasan. He had a friend, Yonasan, his best friend. He was Shaul's son. He had a son, Mipi Baishes. I think his son was named Mipi Baishes. He was a hinkadika. He'd been dropped as a baby, and he was a cripple. He had an Eved named Siva. There was an Eved named Siva, who was the Eved in Shaul's house. He was the Eved in Shaul's house. When David runs away for the rebellion of Avshalom, we know what happens, and he's coming back. Mephibosheth shows up, and his clothing was in a state of, it was tattered, and he was not well groomed. And David asked him, "Why didn't you join me if you were loyal to me?" And he said, "Siva, he misani. My Eved Siva, he tricked me. What did he do? I told him to saddle up the donkey. He did, and he left." So Siva, so there's a machlokes who's telling the truth between Siva and Mephibosheth. David does not know who to believe, so he says, "You and Siva should divide the property." David was punished. He should have believed Mephibosheth. As a result of David going ahead at the mouth that you should divide Shaul's estate, the Malchus was divided. David's grandson Rechavam, who was the son of Shloimeh, in his day, Yeravam ben Nevat sets up the 10 Shvatim in the north of Eretz Yisrael. So, as a result of Siva and Mephibosheth dividing the estate, the Malchus is divided. So that's the very, very much background. So now you have Yeravam ben Nevat. He sets up 2 golden agolim, 2 golden calves, one in Beis El and one in Dan. He sets up sentries, and he doesn't let people be oil regel. Because if they were, they would see Rechavam sitting in the Azara, because Ein Yeshiva Ba'Azara Ela L'Malchus Beis David Bilvad. And since he wasn't from Malchus Beis David, he couldn't sit there. So they're going to say he's the real king. So to avoid this, he goes through this whole, he sets it up. And that's the background, and this Gemara introduces that concept. So we'll begin today, and we'll continue Bez Hashem, Motzei Shabbos. Tan Rabbanan. Yeravam, why was he called Yeravam? Sheriba'am, he made the people low. He's setting up a way to Zara. Davar Acher, Yeravam, Shasam Riva Ba'am. He caused tremendous riva in the people. Again, people were not getting along. Davar Acher, Yeravam, Shasam Riva. He caused Riva fighting Ben Yisrael of Yisrael Shemayim. So the name Yeravam is not a good name. Ben Nevat is Ben Sheni Bat V'lei Ra'ah, a Ben whose father saw, but he didn't realize what he's seeing. He saw something, but he didn't realize what he's seeing. In other words, he touched up something wrong. Tana, hu Nevat, hu Micha, hu Sheva ben Bichri, the same person. Nava, Shenivet V'lei Ra'ah. Why was it called Nevat? Because he saw, but he didn't see. Micha, Shenismachmech bebinyan. Rashi brings 2 pshatim. He was either one of the babies, guys, that was in the binyan. Let's do Rashi. It's a nice Rashi over here. Let's do Rashi. The Rashi is the bottom Rashi on the right, guys. Bottom Rashi on the right. Nismamech bebinyan, shel Mitzrayim. This was a baby that was crushed in the bricks of Mitzrayim. Shenasnua bebinyan b'makam levena. They would put it in place of the brick. Kinefarish ba'agada. Shavlei Moshe LaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ata aroisu la'am hazeh she'achshav im ein lehem levenim masimim b'neiim shel Yisrael bebinyan. If they don't have bricks, they're putting babies in the place. Amalei Kadosh Baruch Hu kaitzim hei makalim. I'm getting rid of the kaitzim. These babies, nothing good's going to happen from them. So I'm getting rid of the thorns from among you. Shagalu lefanai. Elohim chayim, if they would live. Hayu rishayim gemurim. Vim tirtza, this doesn't do much for your bechira, right? Vim tirtza, right? Tinasa, v'hoitziyacha mehem. If you want and test me, take one out. V'hoitziyas micha, and he took out Micha. So Micha's name, guys, came that what? He was machach. He was shmir. We know that he was responsible. I remember some midrashim. The Cheder Egel fellas, Micha would follow Moshe around all the time. After Moshe took him out of the bricks, he was his guy. They made a shvua to take Yosef out of Mitzrayim. Where was Yosef? He was in the Nile. He was buried in the Nile River. Moshe wrote the Shem Mefirish on a pesach, and he wrote on it Ale Shur, Ale Shur. Yosef was compared to an ox. He threw it in the river, and the Oren came up. Micha picked up this petek and had it. B'shas the Egel fellas, he took it and he threw it in the fire. That's why the Egel Azov was able to speak. It had a Shem Mefirish there. You heard this? This is a Yedua, but again, it's like fascinating stuff. So nothing good. This person Micha, according to some pshatim, set up an Egel. He set up a pesel Micha. It's in Shoftim. It's in the parsha at the end of Sefer Shoftim. You have a thing pesel Micha where Shevet Don is drawn after this guy, and who of all people is the priest? It's Yehonasan ben Gershom ben Moshe. It's Moshe's grandson. So Moshe himself was affected directly from this by saving this guy. God wants to do something, Fregnish kan kashas. Hashem wants to do something, don't fool around. This is for the contractors among us. Lishnach Rina. Why was he called Micha? Shenismach mech esek bebinyin at shenase mach. He was busy with the building till he became poor. Kedaminon kol esek bebinyin mismaschen. Anyone who's esek in building becomes poor. I don't know. Again, I don't know. Okay, so weiter. So this person Yeravam, his father was Nevat. He was called Nevat because Shenibet, and he didn't listen to it. He read it wrong. He was called Micha because he had been in this building. And Mashemo, what was his real name? Sheva ben Bichri. His name was Sheva ben Bichri. According to the Navi guy, Sheva ben Bichri rebelled against David. Yoav comes, and they killed him. They threw his head over the wall. They said, give us this guy. Give us this guy. We're going to destroy the city. He was rebelling against David. And I think a woman came out and dealt with it. That woman was, I'm forgetting, the famous woman, Dun's daughter, the one who lived forever. What was the name? Serach, right? Serach bas Asher, not Dun. This is not Dun. It was Asher. Serach bas Asher, right? Serach bas Asher. She went ahead and threw it over the wall. So the halacha over there is how are they able to give it over? So they learn out there, if a Genoi person, they said for a specific person, they didn't say give us a person, they said a specific person. To give a person, why is this blood more red than that blood? When you say a specific person, then there's a head to go ahead and give it over. That's Sheva ben Bichri. Okay, now, how did this rebellion take place? Tan Rabbanan, Shloisha niftu v'leiro. 3 people saw, but they didn't see. Ve'elohein nivot v'achitoifel v'tztaninis parei. Nivot ra eishe yotzei amasai. Nevat literally saw fire come out of his aver, and Husava, Iu Malach, he thought that's a sign that he's going to be king. It wasn't him who's going to be king, but Yeravam who the Nafik Minei. It was really Yeravam who's going to be king. Achi Taifel, Ra Tsaras, Zarchaloi Alamasai, saw Tsaras, that was Zaychan Husava, Iu Malach, he thought that's a sign he's going to be king. Velohi, who is going to be king? But Sheva Bitai, who the Nafik Minei Shleima, his daughter, Achi Taifel's granddaughter. Achitophel granddaughter was Achitophel had a son, Elam. Elam had a daughter, Bathsheba, and Bathsheba, of course, had a son, Shlomo. So it wasn't, they saw something, but they didn't read it right. They saw something that they didn't read it right. I think, again, if I remember correctly, that's what caused Korach to go off. Korach saw B'Nevuah, he's going to have a descendant, Shmuel. It says, Moshe v'Aaron b'Kohanav u'Shmuel b'Korach Shemai. So if Shmuel is equal to Moshe and Aaron, I obviously also must be. Not realizing it came in the source of his sons. Not the Gemara doesn't bring that down. I just think off the top of my head that the Gemara doesn't bring it down. But Al-Khaira, he also didn't see correctly. Right? It had nothing to do with him. It had to do with what? With his sons. So those are the first two, the Nevat and the Achitophel. It's Tanigre Paroi, and what about the Paro's stargazers? Dam Rav Chama B'Rab Chanina, Mai Dechsiv, Hema Mei Meriva. These are the Mei Meriva. Hema Sharoya Tztanina Parei. Hema, when it says Hema, these. In other words, this Mei Meriva that caused the downfall of Moshe, that Moshe hit the rock, these are the Mei Meriva. What's Hema? What are these? It says the Gemara, Hema Sharoya Tztanina Parei. These are the one that Parei's stargazers saw of the Torah, they made a mistake. Rosh Mashiach Shal Yisrael b'mayim huleika. They saw the Mashiach Shal Yisrael. He's going to go ahead and be punished with water. Therefore, take every child that's born, every male, and throw him in the river. They didn't. It wasn't. They didn't realize it's the water that's going to take place in the future, not the water there. That's they blew it. How do you know that Yeravim didn't come to the next world? Lahachid me'al adama. Lahachid means to be totally destroyed. By lamhazeh ulahashmid eloilam haba. Hashmid, I guess, is a larger lashon. Both nishkan good lashons. They're both that you're really going to get destroyed. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Why did Yeravim get malchus? Because he gave Shlomo Musa. Why was he punished if he gave Shlomo? In other words, one of you telling me he was right in giving him Musa. On the other hand, you're telling me it led to his so I was punished. He did it publicly. It seems Shlomo set up Shlomo caused a lack of being oil l'regel by putting up a binyan for what? For his bas parei. So this is the musa he gave him. Shneimar, v'zeh adav asher heirim yad b'melech Shlomo, bona es hamilui, he built milui, sagar es peretz ir David, and closed up the openings in the city of David, of his father. Amalai, David aviv paratz pratzais b'chayma. David made holes in the walls. Kadei sheyali Yisrael l'regel. V'yato gedartoi some kadei lasei sangari lebas paroi. And you closed them up in order that what should be able to collect the tax of bas paroi. So Rashi brings three pshatim. Let's see Rashi, guys. The left side. Gedartoi some kadei lasei sangaria. Kadei sheyichnasu b'sha'arim. They should go into the gates. Leida mi nichnas, to know who goes in. If you close up all the gates and you have to come in one, then everyone's going to know kedei ligvais mas lebas paroi, in order to collect what? A mas lebas paroi. That's Medrash Rabbah. Lishnachrina shesoga sha'arim v'asa migdal lebas paroi. He closed up the gates by making a migdal, a tower. Alecha min hasha'arim v'kulam oivim derech sham kedei sheyeh mitzuyim imo l'chabdu l'avda. Everyone had to pass by to give a kavod. Kol avodah space amelech kari angaria. Any avodah that's done for the purpose of the melech is called angaria. Lishnachrina. Right? Lishna Achrina, Shahaya Rogel Shloima Liska Delases Azara, he would close up the Beis Hamikdash, the Azara. So we're not speaking about the walls of the city, speaking about the Azara itself. Umatzniya Maftechais Biyadai, and he would have the keys in his hands. Pedaka Shamel Chliushan Gimel Shois Biyayim, and the king would sleep 3 hours into the day. The Yisrael Oimdim Al Azara, they'd be waiting. At Shiyamay the Melech, he would get up. V'amla Yeravim, at the right says sheyitnu luchan gario lebas paroi ishtecha shetitin lehem maftechos. Do you want him to give a master that you should open up? So in other words, he was right. This Musa was right. What Shlomo did with bas paroi was wrong. The Musa was right. That's why we zochel malchus. But he shouldn't have done it for Rabbim. He shouldn't have done it right by doing it for Rabbim. Right. What does it mean that Yeravim raised his hand against Shlomo? Rav Nachman. He went ahead and he took off his tefillin in front of him. What's so bad about taking off the tefillin? Rashi says, he should have not done it directly in front of the king. He should have, because Amos the Malchus turned away. He wanted to take off the tefillin to come fight with him. Right? Rashi says another shot. When he took off his tefillin, he was begili roish. And it's not right to be begili roish when he's in front of the king, right? Who maskil the morid bekach laharis v'leima she'einu noig kemelech. And he began showing that he's not treating David like Shlomo like a melech. Okay, I guess Rechavim was that was the beginning with Shlomo, but the Malchus only split by Rechavim. Okay, we'll continue Beis Hashem, Motzei Shabbos.